I have been told I'm a bit of a superstitious, but this was the day I started to believe it. It was around 12:30 a.m. I had just gotten off of work. It was a particularly hard day for me due to not being able to sleep. I have insomnia. Some nights I only get about 2 hours of sleep. I have tried all the medications and at-home remedies, but nothing seems to be working. Tonight was different though. When I pulled into the driveway, it was very dark. Darker than usual. The summer night was cold. It smelled of a fire, but there was no sound of anyone enjoying the night, surrounded by friends around a campfire, or even a sound at all. I remembered that so well. It was absolutely silent. I know it was late, but I could hear my own heartbeat pounding through my ears. It was so quiet. When I got into my house, it was freezing cold. I had wondered if I had left the air conditioning on, but even if I had, it was too cold for even that to be a reasonable explanation. I went up to my room and immediately put a jacket on. I lived alone. I never fancied having roommates or family live with me. I liked my peace and quiet. No couples fighting in the middle of the night and no family waking me up for morning coffee. No awkward conversations of "how was your day" or "you left some dishes in the sink." I did have a cat though. He has been my best friend for years. He is a very kind, loving cat. He is always excited to see me when I get home from the night shifts, but tonight he didn't greet me at the door like he does almost every night. I looked around my apartment for him, and after about half an hour of looking under couches and coffee tables, I found him. Hiding behind the small toilet in the bathroom, I tried to gently get him out, but he scratched me, drew blood even. He had never in the 3 years of having him, ever scratched me. He let out this awful hiss that I had never heard him do before. I decided to just let him be, and eventually he would come out. I went back to my room and started getting ready for bed when I heard a strange sound. It was the sound of someone outside my window. My curtains were closed, but I could hear someone shouting, "Hello." I froze for a moment, listening to the sound of what sounded like a man. After I had a moment to collect my thoughts, I quickly turned off my lights and got down behind the window. I was terrified. What kind of a person would be out this late, and why was he shouting at me through my window? I decided to take a look at this strange man. I slowly crept my head up, as slow as I could, and drew back the curtain only about an inch so that even if he hadn't noticed me hurry and turn the light off that he wouldn't see me. For a moment I thought maybe I was being paranoid and that he was speaking to someone outside, but I remembered how late it was, and how there was not a single soul awake on my street right now, and if there was someone up, they wouldn't be screaming at each other from far away. So I looked. This man was about 6 feet tall. I could just see the outline of him, but he looked so well put together. His hair was shining in the reflection of the street lamp. It was so sleek and shiny. Almost greasy looking. His face wasn't well lit, but his smile. His smile was abnormal long, and his teeth were so white. His teeth looked fake, like he had gotten a bad veneer job or something. He was wearing a dark suit. He kept shouting, "Hello" over and over again. With each phrase was about a 5-second pause, but every word sounded the exact same. Like he was on repeat, but the worst part was, he was waving directly at me. With every hello he waved. His hands were too large for his long skinny arms. He looked odd. He had an unproportioned body. I watched him for what felt like 10 minutes. I could feel the sweat rolling down my face. I was terrified. I couldn't move. I finally got the courage to kneel. I didn't want to take my eyes off of him, but I knew that I needed to do something. I had left my phone on the bed. Something was telling me to not take my eyes off of this man, but I needed to do something, anything. As fast as I could, I jumped to my bed and grabbed my phone. I started to unlock my phone and dial 911, but I realized it had gotten quiet. I could no longer hear the strange "hello." I ran to the window, and he was gone. That's when I could hear loud thumping like running for your life up the stairs. The most unhuman sounding of running. I could hear my cat start hissing and growling at the presence of what was out there. Then I heard the sound of cracking bones and blood curdling from my poor cat. I could hear the sound of his life coming out of my cat's body. I shouted to the man, "Please stop," while pushing my face against my door with tears running down my face. The quietest of whispers spoke back to me after about 30 seconds, "Hello." Even though he was on the other side of the door. I could picture his awful smile with his face pushed up against mine, with only an inch-thick door stopping us from meeting face to face. I started breathing heavily and asked him why. I could hear his breath against the door. Suddenly, he started banging his fist against the door screaming, "Hello, hello." I ran back to the window and went into the fetal position, covering my ears. I was rocking back and forth for what felt like an eternity. I was so panicked and scared that I hadn't realized. It was quiet. I stayed there until I could see the morning light just to make sure he had actually left and wasn't sitting there waiting for me the whole night. I got up slowly. I could feel how swollen my eyes were and could barely breathe for all the congestion from crying the whole night. I went to the door to listen for any sound or movement. I couldn't hear anything, so I opened the door with caution. Max, my cat, was sitting there licking his paw waiting for me. He got up and rubbed his side against me so calmly. I cried with joy and picked him up to give him all the love I had in me. I don't know exactly why all this happened to me or why. I know it was real. I know this really did happen. I haven't told anyone this in fear of getting sent away.